Welcome, everybody. Well, I'm not in that part of the podcast. Oh, sorry. Welcome to podcast 195. Are you reflecting on your progress on site? If not, you may not be learning and adapting quickly enough. Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Okay, now welcome, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to be with you tonight, and I always catch myself because I know you're going to be listening to this tomorrow morning, but I'm really stoked. I'm kind of high on life. Just got some really good positive feedback from some folks. People are sending the podcast out. It's making a difference. Really it's the content. So again, I realized that the presentation, all of these other parts of the podcast aren't the key point. It's really the content. But I am excited that the time that we spend putting these podcasts on is helping people. So it's really kind of been a payday. Just really good day. So I'm really excited to be with you. The topic that we're going to cover tonight, not tonight, tomorrow morning. The topic we're going to cover today for you tomorrow is reflection. And it's a kind of a simple, light topic. It's a really good topic. I enjoy it. And it's going to be really good. So it's nice every now and then after some heavy topics like drifting into failure to cover something like this. And so here we go. Let's head down that road. So one of the things that I'm really stoked about, real quick. So speaking of heavy topics, the other night when we were talking about drifting into failure, there were some books that I was going to tell you about that I really wanted to mention. And in fact, one of our really fun and energetic and wise podcast listeners, he's just been a great friend to me, he said, thanks, I'll check it out, because I had sent him some stuff. He said, for your part 2 podcast on Monday, 2 books about productive paranoia. One is Rare Breed, and the other one is Great by Choice. And he said, great topic, you present it well. And he said, he uses these books and this framework to really make sure that problems are dealt with and that they don't become a problem on site. So again, those 2 books are Rare Breed and Great by Choice. And so I had to get that in there and make sure that I did not forget that. So I apologize for that. So one of the things that I'm really excited about right now and stoked about is that Elevate Construction has boot camps, trainings scheduled for at least the next 3 months. And so if you want to schedule one, reach out. We can probably fit some in there on a different part of the week. But like every week we have a massive boot camp scheduled where we're doing a scheduling boot camp or a field engineering boot camp or a superintendent one, or we just made one for operational excellence, where we cover things like Takt planning and last planner and Scrum and team development and personal organization. We weave it all together into this Tony Robbins meets construction type experience. And I'm just really stoked about it. And I was telling Katie, we as a family have to really get good at creating stability in our home, because there's definitely going to be some opportunities for boot camps to cause some variations. So don't let that affect whether or not you schedule one. But I'm really stoked about that. We've got 6 boot camps mapped out that are absolutely going to be fantastic. And then some other masterminds. I mean, just over the top cool stuff. So I wanted to tell you that about what I'm excited about. The other thing is I'm going to be attending the Scrum Master courses. And I don't know if everybody on this podcast knows Felipe Engineer, one of my good buddies. We haven't spent a lot of time together, but I feel like I know him in and out because I'm always looking at his LinkedIn stuff, his podcast. Great guy. Just every time I think about him, my heart reaches out. He's just a great guy. Anyway, he was like, Jason, you have to come do this Scrum Master course. And so I get to do that. I think it's in February, the last week of February. So I'm stoked about that. Anyway, one more question to you guys. It's January. We're almost out of January. Have you scheduled your training? If not, you deserve more. You deserve better. I just want to say that from me to you, you deserve thousands and thousands of dollars worth of training. And I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact that you deserve it. And it's going to be fantastic when you train it, when you take that training and when you come back and when you implement And when you get those promotions and you get that recognition, so I'm just hoping you're feeling some joy about that. And again, like, hey, if you need help, like, I'll put it on my credit card for you. I mean, there's some things where you just have to take a risk, right? Some people are like, don't get into debt for the car or this or that. So that's not exactly true. Going into debt for things that you're going to consume is bad. Going into debt for investments is not always bad. I mean, businesses do that all the time. They have overhead, they make investments, they take out loans. What better thing to take out a loan for or to go into debt for than investing in your mind, right? And being able to get a return on investment. I mean, and I have to say this one more time. So, and just real quick, some people really don't like me. Some people are like really off put by how I talk, kind of like they are. I'm not associating myself being as cool as Paul Akers because I'm not. I may be as funny as he is, but I'm not as like, meaning my jokes are kind of funny, but like he's like over the top cool. But some people are like, I don't like Paul Akers. He's always bragging. I'm like, guys, he's not bragging. He's sharing. And that's the same thing with me. I'm sharing with you right now. I'm not bragging. In my business, I've probably spent 35 grand on training and stuff for the coaching that I do, for the organizational health that I do, for Tony Robbins, for the mastermind, for the LinkedIn the marketing that I do, all of these things, right? And this is money that's coming out of like potentially being able to feed my family. My retirement money is going to wear out, go away eventually, right? So what I want to just communicate with that little example is that I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm investing in training because I know there's a greater return on investment, especially as I'm starting a business. So you guys go do that too. Please go get what you deserve. You deserve it. So, and I also want to recommend the Scrum Master training. And my buddy Felipe Engineer, if you ever want to be a part of one of his courses, I need you to reach out to him, or you can do it through me, whatever you want, but we'll get you signed up. Fantastic stuff. He's a fantastic mentor. So real quick, let's talk about some of our fans and the feedback. Again, I take all kinds of feedback. It can be feedback for improvement. It can be positive, but here's what he said. Hey, Jason, hopefully you can help me out. A few weeks ago, I listened to one of your podcasts and you told a story about two rebar crews. One ran by a foreman who was always prepping for the next step, and the one who's always working with his crew. I listened to a ton of episodes since then. Do you happen to know what episode that story was in? I want to share it with our electrician foreman on site, and I thought this was super cool. I love the fact that we get additional downloads from looking for the podcast, but I can say that's in episode 7. And I've mentioned that story a couple times. It's also in my book, Elevating Construction Superintendents, which is super cool. We're getting people that are buying that book, the hard copy. I still don't have a confirmation from the ACX Audible website on the stinking book. I'm so frustrated. The first thing I send out will be the audio version of these books next time, even before I do the print version, so you guys can have access to it. Anyway, I'll let you know when that comes out. But anyway, there was some good feedback from one of our fans, one of our listeners. So let me answer this. What's changing in the construction industry? I was talking to a design management professional today, and that brought my mind to the fact that design management, and I don't want to say design management in the sense that like designers can't handle it. I'm saying at least being able to lead the team, participate, and manage the interaction of the trade partners and our GC team in involving, and being partners with the designers, right? Managing that design management is very much going to be a skill that is rewarded. And so I have some good recommendations for IPD books, design books, other courses that you can take or whatever, but I highly recommend that if you're going to be in construction, especially construction management. How can we participate better with design? Contractors that do that, that's something that is changing. More and more contractors that can do that are going to win. So let's get started with our podcast today. I all day I've been just going through this and really excited about it. And so if I seem like I'm in a bubbly mood, like I'm just kind of in a good mood. And the rain, the rain today has been great. I love the rain. I get to go to Washington in February, and I'm jacked about that. Like, I'm excited to go where it's raining. It doesn't rain in Phoenix a lot, and I've just really enjoyed it. So I'm super excited, happy today. So here's the conflict. You're probably not reflecting well enough to really retain the information or to learn from your experiences. And so there's your conflict for you. So reflection has been a huge part of my life ever since I've worked at DPR. And I love them. They are the lean company in my mind, when it comes to general contractors, at least in my little sphere, right? So, but where I first picked up reflection was I was at a Boy Scouts of America wood badge training. And, just to be clear here, I know that the BSA has a bad name right now. I'm talking about the leaders that put on these trainings. Every organization has difficulties. I'm not condoning it, but I'm not also condoning any organization on this podcast. I'm just saying, in that training, the training that was outlined did a fantastic job of reflection. At the end of every course, at the end of every segment, there was a reflection period where people would reflect, sometimes around a campfire, talk about what they learned. And when we're taking notes and doing that, I was like, I'm retaining so much from this. And so that's when I took the field engineer boot camps from just, driving to every night we're going to have a campfire. Every night we're going to have a campfire and we're going to reflect on the things that we learned, because it's key. And I've found that since we've started doing that, it anchors the learning experience. And really, why would we go build an elevator or do a job or do a data center or build a team or whatever, and then just have to recreate it all over again for everybody, instead of like cataloging what we're learning and reflecting and doing these things as we go. And so I just really think leveraging our ability to reflect is absolutely key. So that's kind of my experience with it. And then, you go into one of the DPR offices, there's a triangular room. It's called the plus delta room, because after every meeting, even if you're over time, you can head to that room, do a plus delta. It's a really neat concept. And so when I was with DPR, every meeting ends with a plus delta. Every interaction ends with a plus delta. So we're reflecting, we're learning, we're improving, we're constantly heading in that direction. And you don't have that silent dissension, because if people don't like your meeting, they have the ability to change it through the plus delta and to improve things. And so I really enjoy that. I love that. So let's talk about the principle. And I want to start out with this. Let's liken it to Takt. CPM with its forward and backward pass, and nobody hate me for this. Please don't hate me for this. I'm just saying it like it is. CPM with its forward and backward pass just slams everything to the left and then pushes everything over to where, people are attempting to start things early, and it's just drive, push, drive. And it's not effective. We've never, on an average in the industry, finished projects on time with CPM, and we're never going to. And so I really enjoy Takt. And one of the geniuses of the system is that instead of falsifying how long it can actually take to build something and getting our hopes up and then forcing a crash landing and expending all these resources and hurting people's lives, Takt actually says, let's get on a rhythm, let's get on a flow. And it gives you time for key things. It gives you time to finish as you go. It gives you time for quality. It gives you time to bring roadblocks to the surface and to remove them. And because you have the time to do it right, you do it in a flow. It's just like the tortoise and the hare, right? It's the exact same story, right? And so reflecting and learning can really happen with Takt systems. And so pushing and never reflecting is kind of like CPM. And taking the time to reflect and learn is kind of like Takt. Take the time, get into a rhythm, get into a flow, learn, continuously improve, and head into a good direction. And I do want to say one more time, I gave you the analogy of the river of waste. The river of waste says the boat is the product or the flow unit. The rocks are the roadblocks down below, the things that will hold you up. The water is the resources. And people are like, lower the water level, and then everyone will be forced to remove the roadblocks. Well, that's never what happens. Just like I said, when you lower the water level, then people without permission raise the water level with additional money, manpower, and resources to get past the roadblocks because they don't have time to get rid of the roadblocks. And so if we're going to use that river of waste analogy, we have to stabilize the flow of the water first, clear the water, give them an even enough flow to where they have the time to remove the roadblocks, see it clearly through the clear water, and then if you need to, you can lower the water level if you want. The key is you have to give yourself the right amount of time. You have to be in the right flow. And so with anything that we're doing with reflecting, I want that point to stick out, is that we have to take the time. Because if we're not reflecting, we're not learning. We need to reflect with design. We need to reflect with design details. We need to reflect from project to project. We need to reflect from phase to phase. We need to reflect at our 1/3, 2/3 milestones as we're checking how the progress is doing. We need to reflect after a team disbands and you form a new team. We need to reflect after meetings. We need to reflect on our feature of workboards. The quality checklist that we do. Are we doing this right? Can we improve it? If we're doing things like data center work, why does every crew not have a feature of workboard, a standard quality feature of workboard that we're continually reflecting on? How can we do this better, faster, cheaper, better, faster, cheaper? We have to take the time to reflect, or we're never going to improve, or we're never going to learn. And so the bottom line is we need improvement. The other thing is, why do we standardize in the first place? I've always told you guys that the definition of lean for me is respect for people and resources, and then stability, and then continuous improvement. Well, why do we stabilize things? Well, we stabilize things to bring roadblocks to the surface, but also so that we can improve on the systems. There's no way to improve on something if we don't have stability, right? And so that ties into the takt, the rhythm, and the flow. But also, like, if we're going to stabilize our workforce, I'm not going to say it's an entire waste of time, but why are you doing it if it isn't to improve and to reflect? Because if you have standard systems, ask everybody how it's going, and then improve that standard system and make a better, newer standard, and improve and win and fight win. Okay? And I get that it's hard to reflect, but we have to do it. And, things like Scrum reflections at the end of a sprint, plus deltas at the end of a meeting, retrospective meetings, lessons learned documented in A3s, huddles, reflecting every day in huddles, or ohno circles where you stand in a circle and you reflect on how things are going, or your perch that I always recommend that a master builder has to overlook the project site. Reflection is key, and it needs to be programmed into our leader standard work. And the best way to encourage these, especially in meetings, is to have an open environment, safe environments. When you're asking for feedback, you might have to wait 35 seconds to give people time to think. So build that culture. And once you give that 30 to 60 days of proving to people that it's safe for them to reflect, to speak up, to give their opinions, the culture will change. And you will start to get the feedback that you want. Here's something that I want to say. Whether somebody knows what they're doing and has been beaten up before, or whether somebody isn't fully confident and they've been beaten up before and criticized and called out in a meeting and all of these negative things, they pull down, shut down, and then they start to tear down the systems because they don't feel safe, right? They don't feel safe. And so we need to make them feel, we can't make them feel safe. We need to create environments where they can feel safe if they choose to, and really pull out that collaboration and that reflection. Because the current condition is we're just going too fast. We need to stop. We need to reflect. We need to see how we're doing it. And it's just like, and I've said this a million times, that may be an exaggeration, but and I've said it over and over, that little cute cartoon on LinkedIn and Facebook where they're like, the cave people with the square wheels and a wagon, they're like, hey, we're too busy to make improvements right now. We're pushing this wagon, and these other cavemen or people, sorry, not men, cave people are offering them these round wheels. If they would just stop and change the wheels, they'd go so much faster, right? And that's just the same way. We have to take time to reflect. And one little thing that you can start doing right now is a plus delta at the end of the meeting, and then actually act on it. And somebody once told me, if you really want to do good with plus delta, keep track of them, right? And from week to week, and make sure you're implementing them, and then kind of track the satisfaction of the meeting and see if you're making improvements. Are your plus deltas actually improving the meeting? And I thought that was super cool. So that's my challenge. The point here is, one of the most basic and fundamental and important things that a human being can do is learn. Why not do that every day on the job with our team together in an integrated and intentional way? On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.